Have you ever read something and just wondered how it was put together? You know, not just what it says, but how it's actually designed to make you feel something, or maybe even do something. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to take apart a daily devotional, piece by piece, to see the architecture behind its message and how it builds from one single idea into a global mission. And that really is the big question, isn't it? How do you get from A to B? We're going to trace the exact path this message lays out for the reader, step by step, all the way from an ancient text to a totally modern worldwide movement. It's actually a fascinating look at how a persuasive narrative gets built. So where do you start? Well, any powerful message needs a solid foundation, right? An anchor point that gives it authority. For this devotional, that foundation is a specific piece of scripture. This is square one. It's where the entire argument kicks off. And here it is, this one verse from the book of Daniel. Now, this isn't just some fancy opening line. It is the theological bedrock for everything that follows. See, the architects of this message pull out key ideas right from this verse. Words like everlasting, dominion, kingdom. They're grounding their entire argument in this single, powerful passage. Okay, so you've got this foundation laid. Now what? Well, the next step is all about interpretation. The challenge is, how do you take a kind of dense scriptural verse like that and boil it down into one clear, powerful idea that anybody can grasp? The text does this by focusing on one core concept. And that's the concept, right there. It's simplified to its absolute essence. The message zeroes in on three key adjectives from the scripture and its interpretation: eternal, everlasting, and unshakable. And by repeating these words, they really hammer home the central theme of permanence and stability. It's something you can count on. Now, this is where it gets really clever. This is a key strategic move. That big, abstract idea of a kingdom is translated into direct, personal benefits for you, the reader. Suddenly, the focus shifts to things like eternal security for you and unshakable hope for you. This is how the message takes a grand, theological idea and makes it feel incredibly personal and immediately relevant to your life. So you believe the idea, but that's not enough, right? For a message to really work, it has to prompt action. This next section is the bridge from just believing something in your head to actually doing something about it. It answers that question we all have. Okay, I get it, so now what do I do? And the instructions couldn't be clearer. It's a simple 3-step process. You think, you live, and you pray. You meditate on the idea, you change your daily outlook based on that idea, and then you solidify that change through the act of prayer. It's this simple, repeatable loop that's designed to really help you internalize the message. And this line from the prayer, it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the desired outcome. The reader is prompted to ask for an eternal perspective, basically reframing their daily actions as part of something much bigger, something permanent. So the prayer isn't just a nice way to end, it's the final gear clicking into place to cement the core message. Okay, get ready, because here comes a critical pivot. This is where the whole thing just explodes outwards. Once the message has been internalized by the individual, the focus widens dramatically. We're moving from you to us. That personal belief is about to be channeled into a massive collective effort. And just like that, the personal becomes programmatic. By giving the mission a formal name, a really ambitious one at that, it transforms an individual feeling into an organized, named movement with a very specific goal. It's not just a vague idea anymore, it's an operation. And the goal is, well, ambitious is one word for it. Putting the number 500 million up on its own like this is such a powerful visual. It communicates immense scale and a real sense of urgency. It makes an individual feel like their participation is part of something truly massive. Now, this is so important. The call to action isn't vague at all. They don't just say, hey, can you help out? They give you 3 distinct, well-defined roles. You can be a prayer partner, a volunteer missionary, or a kingdom investor. Whether you have time, skills, or money, they've created a clear entry point for you to join. But how on earth do you connect and coordinate potentially millions of people all over the world? You can't just hope for the best. You need an infrastructure. So the final part of this message is all about providing the practical, real-world tools to build that global community. And when you look at this, you realize, wow, this isn't just a random list of social media accounts. This is a full-blown multi-platform communication network. By being on all these different channels, the organization can reach and engage with all kinds of people wherever they hang out online. It creates this constant flow of connection. This prayer schedule might just look like a table of times, but it's so much more than that. It's a visual representation of a synchronized worldwide effort. Think about it. It shows someone in the UK praying just as someone in Nigeria is finishing up. It creates this powerful feeling of a community that is always on, always active, 24/7. And just to make sure they cover all their bases, they also provide the traditional contact methods. A phone number, an email. This makes sure everyone can get in touch, no matter how tech-savvy they are. And having a physical address in Lagos adds this layer of real-world legitimacy and permanence to the whole thing. And in the end, the whole structure comes full circle. The devotional brings the focus right back from that huge global mission to you, the individual reader. This final note directly links your own personal preparation to that grand overarching story. It's the perfect, encouraging bookend to the entire message. So there you have it. From a single verse of scripture all the way to a global digital network, we've basically watched a complete communication strategy unfold. It shows how a message, when it's built this carefully, can move someone from being just a passive reader to an active participant. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. When you look at a structure like this, what do you think is the key ingredient that makes a message powerful enough to build an entire community?